The scheme, the conspiracy to rob the federal lending programs, the scheme, the scam to rob the pension funds and to launder huge amounts of money for the narcotics cartels, the sex trafficking cartels, the human trafficking mafias, the scheme and scam to launder all the money from the organized criminal entities of the world. They all required the ability to flush huge amounts of money through the lending programs and agencies and to steal and to loot the banks, the savings and loans, and the mortgage system. It all depends on the borrowers. It all depends on the participation of the would-be, wannabe homeowners. So what is integral to the looting schemes for which the biggest banks have been fined and penalized on a fairly significant scale, somewhere upwards of $100 billion. Some put the figure at $163.7 billion in fines and penalties. And in fact, in JP Morgan Chase and in Deutsche Bank, there's been criminal convictions. But none of it works without baiting and luring into the scam and the scheme the borrower. None of the looting scheme works without the borrowers, the consumers, the public, the pigeons. Let's call them the pigeons. You know, the people that are kind of like sheeple. They're sort of capable of making mortgage payments on time, but they're subprime. To the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, to the Attorney General of the United States, William Barr, to the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the Federal Housing Finance Administration, Federal Housing Administration, FHA, HUD, VA, and Consumer Protection Board there, the Consumer Finance Protection Board there. None of these financial rackets, none of these financial conspiracies to rob the system and market and sell all those subprime loans to the federal government, none of it functions, none of it works without baiting and luring into the schemes the consumers. In other words, these crooks that robbed the system did not disclose to the borrowers, to the people that they use to make their scheme work. See, the scheme doesn't work without the people that got lured into the scheme. Take notes, Christopher Wray, William Barr, Donald J. Trump, Maxine Waters, Patrick McHenry, Adam Schiff, and everybody in the legal community, the American Bar Association. None of this swindling and scheming and marketing those subprime loans to the U.S. government's financial agencies and quasi-government financial agencies like HUD and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the FHA and et cetera, so on and so forth. None of it works. It will not work without the inclusion of the pigeons. And this is going to, let's see, Baker and Donaldson and the lawyers that are representing JP Morgan Chase and Deutsche Bank. In case number 2:CV-CV-005 in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Tennessee in Greenville. None of the schemes and scams for which y'all been fined for in the billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, where you stole trillions. None of those schemes function or work without the pigeons. And this is going to the federal judiciary, the federal judges, the juries, everybody that's a material witness to this giant financial robbery in the United States. None of it worked without targeting and baiting and luring into the game the consumers. It was integral to the predicate conspiracy to rob the system. It doesn't work without the borrowers. The borrowers are an integral, paramount element of the scheme that was undertaken to rob the system. There's only so many ways you can, explain it. You cannot successfully make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You got to have certain elements of that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You got to have the peanut butter, you got to have the jelly, and, well, presumably you've got to have the bread, or you don't get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You can't rob the financial system for the trillions that it's been robbed for without the inclusion of the borrower, wannabe homeowner, pigeon. The pigeons are the heart, the very epicenter of the scheme. They have to be lured and baited into no down payment, 125% funding, second mortgage, balloon payment, 14-15% interest on a mortgage loan, easy credit ripoff. Everybody knows what the easy credit ripoff, Christopher Wray. Hey, Donald J. Trump, let's talk about easy credit ripoffs with Maxine Waters and Tom Daschle and the Baker and Donaldson law firm and all the other law firms of these crooked ass banks that are operated by senators and congressmen and people that are on the presidential cabinet, and all these state judges and federal judges and district attorneys and county attorneys and sheriff's offices and all these other government actors and agencies who, through their law firms, aid and abet the most criminal banking mobsters in human history. So, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't work. None of the schemes work without targeting the pigeons. The rule is, FBI, the rule is, Department of Justice, that it doesn't work at all without sucking in to the schemes and scams the borrowers, the pigeons. And to Christopher Wray and to William Barr and to the judges in Greenville, Tennessee, in the federal court in Greenville, and to Baker and Donaldson and the other lawyers, Rubin, Lublin, and all these other law firms that are representing Deutsche Bank and J.P. Morgan and Credit Suisse and Jerry Cogno of Paramount, Premier, and Pioneer Mortgage Brokering, the Cogno Mafia from New Jersey. None of this works without baiting and luring and trapping into the transactions the pigeons, because you got to have the borrowers and their credit scores to make it work. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just described to you the predicate acts of bank fraud and mortgage fraud, racketeering, conspiracy. Those are predicate acts. You have to bait the pigeons in order to successfully rob the financial system. It doesn't work any other way. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it right there. Look at all the links below and educate yourself. Get educated. And as always, hasta la vista. God bless, and you can bet your sweet bippy we're coming back.